All right, welcome back. Let's take you back to the National Armed Forces Day that's taking place in Cape Town. My colleague Artie Mtongana is there. And Artie, just moments ago, we witnessed a fly past. Take us through what has happened so far.
Well, Goli, I have with me Colonel Todi, who's going to talk us through exactly what we just saw, that fly past. Briefly talk to us about it, the aircrafts that we're seeing. Is it also trying to display the readiness of the SANDF and the different arms of the NDF in the likelihood that, the army might infiltrate?
Hi, good morning, and the viewers at home. Yes, what you get to see was the various capabilities that we possess in the South African Air Force, as we all started first with the helicopter capabilities, varying from attack helicopters, varying from supporting helicopters, as you go to see the Rooivalk, the Oryx helicopter, the Lynx that we're utilizing for maritime capabilities. And we also got to see the transport aircraft that we use to transport our troops from various countries or from various points actually across the country, and in support of our different missions that we can find ourselves involved in. And another aircraft that you saw, the Silver Falcons, that just passed us now, that is what we use to train our pilots, our future pilots in the organization, for them to be combat ready in missions that we get to see. And also the fighter capability, which is the front end of the South African Air Force, the Gripen fighter aircraft that we got to see, as well as the Hawk aircraft that we also train our pilots that are already qualified into the combat environment.
And I don't know if you would have these numbers at this point in terms of the cost that goes behind fueling these aircraft.
If I may say, it's actually quite expensive actually to train or the cost involved in running these aircraft, and hence actually we want the skilled people that we can have the trust in them to be able to fly these machines. I mean, it depends actually on which machine we want to mention as far as their costs are concerned, or how much does it cost per hour to fly. Maybe just to give you a typical example, to fly a Gripen per hour, you're looking about anything about 100,000 per hour actually to run the machine itself. So it depends actually on which platform that actually they are flying. But actually itself, just to train a pilot in the South African Air Force, it's actually really costly, over $1 million, 1.5 million, but that's years back. But now you can look anything above 2 million just to get a qualified pilot in the South African Air Force.
All right, thank you so much. Now I'm going to ask my colleague to try and show you, Goli, that the President, Sir Ramphosa, who's also the Commander-in-Chief of the SANDF, is indeed here, and he will be speaking and addressing the VIPs that are here, as well as the members of the public that are also here to view the activities that are taking place here at the Armed Forces Day. If my colleague can pan and show you where the President is seated right now together with the Minister of Defence, just ahead of the delivery of his speech. He will be addressing this particular Armed Forces ceremony as, of course, the Commander-in-Chief of the SANDF, and, of course, as the President of the Republic of South Africa. So what you're seeing right now, President Cyril Ramaphosa taking to the podium, and he's about to address the people here, and he's going to go down, in fact, down the podium, where he is expected to actually hand over the SS Mendi bell. Remember, it was handed over to him in 2017. So what you're seeing right now is the handover. And I'm going to actually ask Colonel Mafune to try and speak to us through what the President is currently doing right now. So as we are seeing visually the President heading to the SS Mendi bell, talk us through that particular and this particular moment.
The President is going to do the honors of the bell. The bell was found in England. It was given back to South Africa. So the President is going to take the bell and give it to the Chief of the South African National Defence Force. Then the Chief is going to hand it over to the Chief of the South African Navy for safekeeping for the whole year.
And tell us about the importance of this bell, because obviously it is linked to so many painful memories of the over 600 servicemen who died when the sinking of SS Mendi happened in 1970.
Yes, the bell was actually discovered from the ship which have sunk in 1917. Then for us, it reminds us of the painful era, like you said, of more than 600 of our soldiers who perished in the English Channel during the SS Mendi. Then, when we see the bell, we realize then the thing happened more than 100 years ago. However, even if it happened more than 100 years ago, for now, we can still feel the fresh pain of it, because really it was a painful incident.
Over 600 men, you're right, lost their lives when that boat sank, that ship sank rather. Now the president handing it over, how significant is the handing over process of the bell?
The significance is every time when we do whatever task we have as a defense force, and the young ones when they come, we have to dedicate our task in honor of the memories of the people who perished in the SS Mendi ship in 1970.
So where is it headed now? Where is it going to be kept for safekeeping? And is it going to be kept in a place where the public can go view it? Where is the next location now of the SS Mendi bell?
The SS Mendi bell is going to be handed over to the Chief of the South African Navy by the Chief of the South African National Defence Force. And the Chief of the South African Navy is going to keep it within the Naval HQ, and people will be able to access it, whoever want to see. The families who want to see and view the bell, they will be able to do that.
All right, now I'm going to ask for you, Xoli, to just see now what is happening as the president has gone back to his seat now to get ready for his speech. Now the president of the country and of course the commander-in-chief of the SANDF is about to now address the podium.
All right, so that's Artie Mtongana, basically just giving us a brief background as to what is happening there today. Of course, today is the celebration of the National Armed Forces Day. It's a day essentially that honors members of the South African National Defence Force. And the president, I'm told, is now audible and we can listen to him.
Members of Parliament, Portfolio Committee and Defence and Military Veterans, Premier of the Western Cape, Secretary of Defence Dr. Sam Makudu Gulube, Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Soli Shoke, Chiefs of Defence Forces from the region, generals, admirals, officers, warrant officers, non-commissioned officers, military veterans, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the Commander-in-Chief of the South African National Defence Force, it is a great honor to address you on this National Armed Forces Day. It is a day on which we acknowledge the men and the women who have dedicated their lives to the service of their country and humanity. You have answered the most noble calling to defend the Republic and its people, to protect her sovereignty and guard her territorial integrity. You have sworn to serve South Africa and its people in accordance with the Constitution of our country and to uphold its values. The 21st of February holds deep significance for us as South Africans. It marks the day of the sinking of the troop carrier vessel, the SS Mendi. On that fateful day in 1917, 805 souls perished in the English Channel on their way to the Western Front during the First World War. The soldiers aboard the SS Mendi were volunteers in the then South African National Labour Corps. They were among 25,000 others who joined the Corps during a war that began in Europe but soon became a global conflict affecting people on nearly every continent. The men who died on the SS Mendi and others of the Native Labour Corps who served in the trenches in France did not enlist to further the advance of imperialism. They volunteered at a time when the 1913 Land Act had cut a devastating swath across black communities in this country, and they hoped that with their service to get a chance to provide for their families. They also saw it as a chance to play their part in defense of the freedom and preservation of humankind. They are our heroes, and it is our duty to impart on our children the story of their bravery, their courage, their commitment, and their long-suffering. I wish to congratulate the Ministry of Defense for ensuring that this important part of our history is kept alive. And I wish to acknowledge the survivors and their descendants, some of whom are here with us today. Earlier this morning, we went to a site near the University of the Western Cape, a site which depicts a memorial of those who perished in the English Channel in the SS Mendi. It is a small memorial site, and when I looked at it, I thought that it does not correctly depict the enormity of the tragedy. I thought that it does not fully tell the story of the men who perished in the English Channel. I will be discussing this matter with the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, and indeed with the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, that we should do a better representation of this memorial so that we can put the history of the men who perished in the English Channel in the minds of our people more firmly, because they are indeed the heroes of our nation, and they need to have a proper place in the memories of our country. Today we wish to extend our condolences to the family, friends, and the unit of Corporal Randall Jacques Crano. He lost his life on Wednesday, the 6th of February, while he was traveling to be part of preparations for today's event. I also wish his injured colleagues a speedy recovery. Ons gedenk vandag alle gevalle soldate wat in opdrag en belang van ons land gesterf het. It does not matter how or where they fell, they paid the ultimate price. Ons sal hulle opoffering van altyd onthou en vereer. We are joined here today by Mr. Jenny Fournier, the mayor of the town of Longueval in France. Longueval is where our National War Memorial, commonly known as Deville Wood, is situated. To you and your delegation, sir, I want to say, Benvenue, wamkelekile, welcome. We welcome you with open arms to our country and to Cape Town. I did have an occasion to visit Deville and saw for myself how well you are keeping the memory of those who fell in that war. We salute you, sir. On National Armed Forces Day, we honor our veterans and those who are still in uniform. We also honor their families, for the sacrifice of serving in uniform is also the sacrifice of a family and of a community. You have given us the best of your men and women who left you in the bloom and enthusiasm of youth and who returned wiser, disciplined, and stronger. It is said that it is only in the service to one's fellow human that one's mettle is truly tested, and the armed forces of democratic South Africa can be justifiably proud of having produced soldiers of resolve, soldiers of steadfastness, and soldiers whose hearts beat with a great deal of patriotism. Through National Armed Forces Day, we want to display to our people, the citizens of our country, the capabilities and state of readiness of our armed forces. We also want to expand the public's understanding of the military's function and purpose in our society. The roles that the military plays in our modern days is quite diverse and plentiful. We all recall the iconic image of a young mother clutching her newborn baby Rosita as she was pulled to the safety of an SANDF chopper during the Mozambican floods of the year 2000. That picture reverberated across the world, and people across the world saw the enormous capability of the SANDF, and that picture remains imprinted on the minds of many Mozambicans who saw the extent to which their neighbor, South Africa, is able to come to their aid when they are in need. We also recall with pride the deployment of the South African Military Health Service across a number of hospitals in Gauteng in 2017, after industrial action nearly paralyzed health services in the province. A year later, military health personnel were dispatched to Mahikeng Hospital in the northwest, where their intervention averted the near collapse of health services in the facility in the northwest part of our country. At present, we have a specialist team of Army personnel working in the Vaal area to contain a sewage spillage that is threatening the health and well-being of millions of our people who live in the Vaal River complex. We also saw how members of the South African National Defence Force went to the northwest and went to Ditsobotla and helped the municipal government in that part of our country to sort out the sewage that had spilled in the streets of Ditsobotla. Our people in Ditsobotla were filled with joy and jubilation as they saw our soldiers doing social work for them and helping to resolve a problem which seemed intractable. The South African National Defence Force has also been involved in international peacekeeping missions on our continent, notably in the Democratic Republic of the Congo under the UN Stabilization Mission. We currently have around 1,200 troops in the DRC and are also part of the Force Intervention Brigade together with Tanzania and Malawian troops. We continue to support operations in Africa under the United Nations and the African Union. Whether it is engaging in anti-piracy patrols in the Mozambican Channel, battling field fires in the Cape, doing border controls as part of Operation Corona, or attending to critical infrastructure, our National Defence Force is indeed a source of enduring pride to our nation. It is a pride we want to impart to the next generation. For the South African National Defence Force to effectively carry out its mission, we need to recruit high-caliber individuals into its ranks. The armed forces are a home for the youth of this country, young men and young women can find a home in the South African National Defence Force. It is in this home where they can exhibit their patriotism, their pride as South African citizens. It is the means through which they can serve, through which they can also step forward and say, yes, Commander-in-Chief, Tumamina, send me. Let me go and be of service to other South Africans who are in need and to my country which needs my services. In 2018, 1,700 young people were recruited through the Military Skills Development Program and successfully placed in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, and in medical health services. They commenced training in January at their respective training units, and we wish them well in their endeavors to practice their patriotism. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of the armed forces has over the years had to evolve in response to ever-changing global military, political, social and economic conditions. Our Navy, the host of today's event, has a particularly critical role to play. As South Africa, we have a 3,000-long coastline which wraps our country from the east to the west. the third largest in Africa, and are strategically located on one of the world's most vital shipping lines. Over 96% of our own exports and imports are carried by sea. South Africa's exclusive economic zone is currently the extent of 1.5 million square kilometers. With such a large ocean jurisdiction, the need for effective maritime protection by our Navy has never been greater. This has become all the more important since South Africa, together with other nations, adopted the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. Goal 14 of these UN goals obliges countries to take measures to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, the seas, and maritime resources. The South African Navy is and will remain key to supporting our national maritime security strategy and advancing our vision to grow our oceans economy. Like many other coastal countries, we are impacted by the illegal exploitation of our marine resources, which seriously threatens the sustainability of our oceans. It is upon our Navy that we rely to protect our trade routes, to cooperate with neighboring countries and international bodies to promote regional maritime security and to advance our developmental objectives as a country. We are also aware of the impact of climate change on our oceans. Coastal communities, in particular, are vulnerable to the effects of rising sea levels. The resulting extreme weather will require the South African National Defence Force to provide humanitarian assistance and disaster relief during general military assistance operations, both in the country and in the SADC region. It is also the responsibility of our armed forces to guard our country's borders against the infiltration of transnational criminal syndicates, the flow of contraband, human trafficking, undocumented migrants, and other illicit activities. It is imperative, therefore, that all our armed forces are supported to enable them to respond effectively to current realities and threats as well as emerging ones. Ladies and gentlemen, as South Africans, we are secure in the knowledge that our combined forces are well trained, they are capable, and above all, that they uphold the Constitution and the highest values that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights of our Constitution. Our armed forces are the great unifier. They are part of what makes us to be proud South Africans. As Commander-in-Chief, I say to our men and women in uniform, we value your contribution. We applaud your professionalism, your discipline, as well as your dedication. The path you have chosen is not an easy one, nor has it been easy for your families and your loved ones. And yet we know that with your service, you join a long and illustrious line of those who have come before you, the brave and courageous men and women who have seen it right to serve their country and dedicate their energies in the service of their beautiful country, South Africa, and the people who live in it, of the brave fallen who lie in Delville Wood and the men of the SS Mendi. They set sail to Europe's distant shores in the defense of freedom and in the hope of bringing freedom back home to their beautiful land, South Africa. They did not live to hear the ring of freedom's bell. The dignity they were denied in their lifetime is the dignity we accord them here today. It is the dignity our people enjoy today, especially the men and women of our armed forces. In recognizing you, we are recognizing them, our heroes who have fallen. It is of you that the great Homer speaks in the Iliad and says, open quotes, without a sign his sword the brave man draws and asks no omen but his country's cause, close quotes. To our soldiers, yours is a clear mission to take the SANDF into a brave and great future, to uphold our constitutional order and the rule of law, to defend and to protect our sovereignty and our territorial integrity, and above all, to contribute towards the well-being, the prosperity, and the upliftment of the people of our beautiful country, South Africa. I wish you strength and I wish you courage, and we thank you for your service and your dedication. Thank you very much.